Sorry, I had you on mute there. Good morning. It's nice to see all of you today. Thank you for showing up. So if this is your first time here, my name is Swamp Rose, or you can call me Kiki, and this is a true crime podcast, and I have a couple of things to go over. And hopefully, shortly, we will have a guest joining us. So stay tuned, but if she doesn't end up showing up, we have a great show, and I have a lot for you guys to talk about. And I just want to say hello, good morning to the people in the chat. Thank you for being here and starting off the energy. Christy and Carla and Leslie at Billy. So what I wanted to do first, I'll actually just tell you the 3 segments that I planned because I'm really excited to show all 3 of these to you. So the first thing I really want to do is go over the new scheduling order, not just because it's the newest document in the Idaho4, but because I do feel like there are just a few things to discuss when we're going over that document. Then next, I wanted to talk to you about a new video that was put out on Michael Alderio Photography's channel, and we've shown so far all 3 of his videos he's done on the Idaho4. So I'm really excited to show you this new video. I'm not going to show the whole thing because I really want you to go to his channel and check it out for yourself. But we're going to show about a minute of that video, and it's just so good. I can't wait for you guys to see it. And then third, I have a really, I feel that it is just one of the most interesting segments I've shown this week. It's on the YSL Young Thug Rico trial that's going on right now. And I showed a clip from it in one of my live streams last week. And you guys just had so much to say about it. And so many people wanted to watch. But I think I have an even better clip to show you this week. And we'll recap on what happened last week. Or I guess that was about 2 weeks ago now. And we'll also tell you where we're at in that trial because they did try to get the judge thrown out of that case and they took it to Supreme Court and it's actually been thrown back and the judge is still on it. So we've got a lot to say about that. So the first thing I'm going to do is just bring up this new document, the scheduling order, and let's get right into it. Okay, let me get my notes out here so I don't miss anything. And make sure you can see that. Okay. All right, so I do feel I can understand this document just a little bit better with the live stream I did last night. If you guys missed it, I did a live stream with 12 Gauge Investigates, and he taught me all about Brady Giglio. And it was really good. Thank you for putting, so Michael Alderio Photography, Chrissy has put a link to his, no sound? Hold on, oh, that's old. Christy has put a link to his channel in the comments if you just want to follow it there. And just make sure you give him a like and a sub. Let him know that I sent you too, because I've been in communications with him and I'd really love for him to come on the show and talk to us. I think he's just an interesting person. He has a lot to say. So make sure you tell him I sent you, please. All right, so let's get right into this. So this is a scheduling order. It's our latest document. Most of you know about this who've been following the case, but if you don't, this came out on June 27th. And part A is trial setting. A trial shall commence 8:30 a.m. June 2nd, 2025 in courtroom 3 of Latah County Courthouse and will run through August 29th, 2025 on 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. on a 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. schedule. Trial will not be held on June 19th, 2025, which is Juneteenth, just so you know, and July 4th, 2025. And the reason they don't hold those are because those are obviously the federal holidays. These dates are inclusive of jury selection as well as any sentencing phase that may be necessary. The defendant's motion to change venue is currently set to be heard on August 29th of 2024. If that motion is granted, the court anticipates that the trial dates will not change, although the location of the trial would. And that's the first place I want to stop. So I just have a couple questions. I just have a couple questions to ask you your opinion on this. Like, I'm not quite sure how they can say that the actual date wouldn't change if they changed venues. Because I don't, maybe because it is the largest and most watched case in Idaho, I don't know. But why would all other cases, why would their scheduling orders not be taken into account why would this take precedence over their scheduling order, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it's not like they'd be moving to a smaller courthouse with less activity. They would be moving to Boise, likely. A larger courthouse is probably, if they're booking out that far for a large trial, Boise certainly, I would imagine, is too. But I think that's interesting that they said the date wouldn't change if the venue changed. And I just don't know how they can know that. But who knows? If the judge is going to stay the same, maybe the judge has in different courtrooms, maybe that judge has his own schedule in the Boise court. I don't know. My hair is messed up. Okay, let's go on. All right, make sure I don't skip any of these notes. So next we have Part B, which is the final pre-trial conference will be held on April 3rd, 2025 at 10 a.m. Now we move to our motion. So any motion challenging the death penalty shall be filed on or before September 5th, 2024. Any response shall be filed on or before October 10th, 2024. Any replies are due by October 24th, 2024, and a hearing in motion shall be held on November 7th, 2024 at 10 a.m. Now, I want to pause there again because I have questions, and it's just because I don't have probably the legal, I just don't know in a death penalty case. The questions I have is, what kind of a motion do you make on a death penalty? Like, what kind of a motion do you make? I thought of a few things. I thought, do they think that this isn't a qualifying crime for a death penalty? Would that be the motion that they make? Would it be, is that motion where they apply sanctions because something isn't done right and death penalty can remove because of these sanctions? I don't know. I don't know how you appeal a death penalty. Other than like the qualifying for the death penalty, how do you appeal it? Certainly in this instance, this crime can't be lessened in any way that would make it not qualify for a DP. I don't know. But if you have an idea, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Paco, July 27th wrote a stupid. I'm going to read this comment. Hold on. Let me read it first before I put it up. So a book writer ruined it for Bryan to get a fair trial, even move it somewhere else. I cannot believe the judge is letting all these books house being demolished. It's crazy. Now the house, I mean, I can't even agree with you more. And I don't even know anybody who's for or against Bryan who thinks that it was a good idea for them to demolish that house. I mean, I've thought about this a lot. I don't feel like that many people are taking that book seriously. I definitely know it's reaching a larger audience than anything that we do here in our like little niche of true crime. And I just question so many things in that book. If they're not true, how does it not if they're true, how does it not interfere with an investigation or violate gag order? Or I don't know. I just, it's so curious to me. And if the reason why it's not violating the gag order is because it's not accurate, then why is there no like cease and desist for inaccurate reporting? So it's such a confusing situation for me. So I although I don't know if people shouldn't be allowed to write books pre-trial, I agree with your sentiments. It's just so peculiar to me. Peculiar is a really stupid word to use for this. Oh, thank you, Christy. He was on national TV last night. What show did he do? Okay. Fix something. All right, so let's keep going with this because I do have a few more thoughts I want to get out on this scheduling order. I actually have several pages of notes on this I want to give to you. Not small pages, like scrap paper. Oh, let me change screens. Okay. So back to motions. So now we're moving on to motion B. Motions to suppress evidence or any other 12B motions shall be filed no later than November 14th, 2024. Responses shall be filed by December 19th, 2024. Any replies shall be filed by January 10th, 2025. Hearing with motions shall be held on February 6th at 10 a.m. and may continue into February 2025 if needed. C, in this section, motions to Lamine, including any 404B notices shall be filed by February 13th, 2025. Any responses are due by March 13th, 2025. Any replies shall be filed by March 20th, 2025. A hearing on the motion shall be held on March 27th, 2025 at 10 a.m. and may continue into March 28th, 2025 if needed. Discovery completion. A, the state's discovery deadline is September 6th, 2024. B, the defense's discovery deadline is January 9th, 2025. Okay, this is where things get a little interesting here. So disclosure of trial experts. A list of experts along with a copy of the expert's report consists of an ICR 16B7 and a copy of the expert's curriculum. The state intends to call the trial shall be disclosed to the defense and to the court by December 4th, 2024. A list of experts along with the expert's report consisting of an ICR 16 blah, 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 and a copy of the expert's curriculum the defense intends to call at trial shall be disclosed to the state and the court by January 9th, 2025. And C, any rebuttal experts for either the state or defense must be disclosed by January 30th, 2025. Trial materials. Proposed jury questionnaires shall be provided to the court by February 7th, 2025. Responses must be filed by March 7th, 2025, pursuant to blah, 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 blah. And closed and sealed hearing on July questionnaires shall be held by April 2nd, 2025 at 10 a.m. And then scheduling order 2, proposed jury instructions shall be filed with the court by March 14th, 2025. Jury instructions will be discussed at the final pretrial conference. C, lay trial witnesses shall be filed by March 14th, 25, and exhibit lists with attached copies of exhibits shall be filed by March 15th. And this is where it gets really interesting in this paragraph. It's kind of funny. Each party shall prepare a list of exhibits that expects to offer, excluding impeachable documents. Now I'm going to stop right there before I go on with my point in this. So we learned something last night on 12's show. Let me highlight this. I wonder what this sentence means. I don't know if you can read that at home. But last night I was on 12's live stream and he was teaching me about the Brady Giglio and what could be considered like a violation and whatnot. And one of the things they were talking about is, so people can make mistakes and people can make errors when they're collecting evidence. However, with intention or pattern, you could prove that there is a problem with either the person who was providing the evidence or collecting the evidence or the chain of custody of the evidence. So you have to be very careful who touches evidence because Brady Giglio can come into play. Now, not everything is Brady Giglio, people can make mistakes, people could do certain things. It doesn't mean it's Brady Giglio, but what they're really looking for, something that could throw out a trial, is when there is somebody involved who has an impeachable offense, something that would make them not able to gather that evidence and be part of a reliable chain of custody. And so it sounds like, and I could be mistaken, but just from my basic knowledge, they basically inferred that there was an officer who may be in Brady Giglio violation involved in this case. And it's interesting, I wonder if this kind of backs it up when I read that it says impeachable documents. Does that apply to Brady Giglio and maybe an officer involved that, So anyway, I just wonder when I read that there, but let's keep going with the point because I think this is kind of funny, the way that it was written. And I'll tell you why in a second. So to the court and the opposing counsel, exhibits shall be listed in order that the party anticipates they will be offered. Each party shall have affixed labels to their exhibits before trial. The state's exhibits shall be marked with red labels in numerical sequence with an S before the number, SI, for instance. Defendant's exhibit shall be marked with blue labels and numerical sequence with a D before each number, D1, for example. The case should be also placed on each, the case number shall also be placed on each of the exhibit's labels. Exhibits should be logged and served as required by the pretrial order. Exhibit labels can be obtained from deputy court clerk. Counsel shall provide a copy of each exhibit and an exhibit list to the opposing counsel and the court. Copies shall be made after the labels are marked and attached to the original exhibit. To expedite the trial, each exhibit to be offered shall be viewed by its opposing counsel prior to the trial and determined to be made whether any objection will be lodged against the exhibit. An exhibit to which there is no exception will be admitted into trial. And the reason why I think that's kind of funny is because it's like, well, yeah, like it's kind of like, duh, you know. And oh, good morning, Jeff. So basically the judge is ordering them to be organized. And I mean, it's just kind of crazy that it wasn't organized in the first place is the point. And the point is that it has to be put into an actual document to get done. I just think that's, I think that's a little entertaining. So each party shall provide the court with a trial brief, which shall be filed on or before March 14th, 2025. Sentencing disclosures. Any witnesses, lay experts, expert reports, or lists of exhibits with copies attached the state's intends to present to support the aggravation shall be provoked to the defense in the court by January 9th, 2025. Defendant's mitigation disclosures, including a witness list, lay and expert reports, and a list of exhibits with copies attached shall be provided to the state or the court by March 25th, 2025. Any witnesses, lay persons, exhibits, or state intends to present rebuttal shall be provided to the defense by the court by March 30th, 2025. The court reserves the rights to hear any motions filed by the deadline if past and good cause is shown, including but not limited to motions that arise after disclosure made by opposing parties. And there was one other thing. I don't know how I missed it. Let me look. Well, there's a couple things. So when it comes to the IGG, we're going to know it's going to be February 13th, 2025 when we finally hear more about the IGG, what's admissible and what's not. And I'm trying to find where it was. So our experts, witnesses need to become, December 4th is deadline for that. I'm trying to think, there was one thing on here that one of these hearings was closed. I'm just going back up. I wanted to point that out to you. I didn't write it down, it looks like. I want to say it was the December 4th hearing. Hold on. Here we go. Here's the defense. Copy. Oh, that's so weird. I thought that one of these hearings is closed, and I thought I had wrote it down. Oh, okay. So it's the jury questionnaire. That's the one that's going to be closed. So we're going to, that is the one thing on here that they did say wasn't going to be open to public, is this jury questionnaire. What they're asking the jury is to see if they qualify. And so, yeah, we will know it eventually. It's just, we're not going to know it when they give it. So. And I mean, that's really all I had to talk about for that one. Oh, thank you for sharing Jeff's channel. Jeff and I were on like a 3-hour live stream with 12 last night, and it was really interesting. We talked about, I'll just show you guys this while we're transitioning. We talked about let me find it. I have the photograph right here. We talked about Maddie's jacket, and then Jeff took some of his photography equipment, and he actually was able to get a nice close-up down here, and we did it with the video, so we were able to kind of, you know, take a closer look and see what we thought it was. I still think it's a jacket, but some of the other people who are watching thought it was a duffel bag. Somebody thought it was like really wide leg pants, but you know, yeah, it was a really interesting live stream. I recommend you check it out from last night's on 12 Gauge Phillips channel. So, all right. So I think I want to get into this first video. So let me bring up the channel, and then we're going to get into we're going to get in the YSL Young Thug Rico trial. All right. So this is the channel, Michael Adario Photography. And, ooh, oh, is that Nina? Hey, Nina. Welcome. You're muted.
I always come in muted. I'm so sorry.
I do the same thing. It's if anyone who knows me knows that.
Well, I guess it's better late than never, huh?
I'm just glad you're here because I just love hearing your opinion on these things. And you're like perfect timing too for this next segment.
Uh-oh, what have I walked into?
Oh, well, okay. Well, have you ever heard of the Stingray interceptors?
That's the one that jams the Wi-Fi and all that stuff.
It's a side
Phones and stuff.
Yeah, it's a side effect of the use of a Stingray interceptor or something similar to it. But it's kind of like a fake cell phone tower. So it's it's an in between these cell phone towers, so that if they wanted to surveil someone, it's like the modern way to tap someone's phone. You put a Stingray up, their cell phone signal bounces off of it. It can then be tapped into. They're extremely controversial. They don't require warrants. Since they don't have warrants, there's a lot of things like if you were to use it, you'd have to say that it was same as IGG. You'd have to say it was like a witness, like a protected witness, because nobody wants to admit, and the company doesn't want to admit when you're using it. So it's a really interesting thing. So his latest video is probably the most up to date, but he has a couple more videos that are just remarkable. We might play an older one all the way through, but I'm going to play about a minute and a half of this video, and I'd love to hear what you guys think. And don't forget to visit his channel. We'll put a banner up while I do it. Have you seen this video, Nina, or do you know anything about it?
No, I have never seen it.
Oh, this is really interesting. What we'll do, we'll watch a couple minutes of this because I don't want to show all of his new video. I'd like for you guys to go watch it on his channel, but I'll show an older video of his. I have an incredible unlisted video that somebody had sent me from his channel. I'm going to stop right here because if we go back to the vandal alert, okay, I think this is interesting because one of the things that we're looking for, if we were looking for evidence of like a Stingray or some sort of interceptor, we'd be looking at phone activity that's been interrupted. And we have very well documented phone activity that's been interrupted. So we can start with the most prominent thing, which we know the systems were down. By the time this vandal alert came up, I believe they were back up, but they were at least down over the night hours. So that included their internal systems within the university. And then we have a couple more accounts that just are so ambiguous, we just don't understand what they mean. Like, for instance, if I put up this photograph right here. So this is the letter that attorney Andrew Myers received from Steve Gonzalez. He wrote him, and this is what he got back in response. And this whole letter is like really interesting, but this last paragraph is really where I'm honing in right now. It says, "We are aware that neither Kaylee nor Maddie made a call to 911. I need to double check with the girls as they were the ones who accessed their accounts. According to my recollection, Kaylee's last call was to Jack at 2:56, after which her phone appeared to go offline." And one of the things that they're saying is these phones have dropped calls. And I'm not saying that's what this means. I'm just saying, let's look at this. We also know there was a rapid fire amount of calls to her boyfriend as well, Jack, or her ex-boyfriend. What if one of the reasons, and yes, we know it's a behavior pattern of Kaylee, but what if she kept trying to call and it kept getting dropped, you know? And so I'm bringing this up. It's going to go a little bit deeper. I have a few more points to make, but Nina, is this kind of resonating with you at all so far?
Dang that mute button. Well, the thing about it is I don't know anything about the Stingrays and stuff like that. But even though the phone calls get dropped and everything, is there still not a way for them to show up? Or does it just block existence altogether?
Well, one of the liabilities that this particular equipment has come is that particularly emergency phone calls get dropped. So there are definitely records that it drops calls, but it's when people try to connect directly with that emergency services, you get that unique cell, the call just completely gets dropped. And, there's so much controversy about this 8-hour delay in the 911 call. Could phones not have been working? Could somebody there have tried calling 911 and weren't able to get through? Maybe we don't have the 911 call because it kept getting dropped or somebody said something along those lines. I don't know, because
Right.
It's very protected. Like, it's protected on the federal level if you use one of these. So you have limited what you can say. It would make sense if they sealed the whole thing and couldn't talk about it. It's just interesting.
So, okay, wasn't there talk one time that somebody thought Kaylee tried to call 911? Wasn't that like a subject at one point?
Yes, and I know the source of that too. So that started when Howard Bloom published his first article in October. And we don't know what's going on. There was hundreds of text messages leaked from a TikToker. She says that she had interacted with Steve. We don't necessarily know. I don't know if they're real or not. I've tried to get confirmation, but I can't. In those text messages, it says that Kaylee saw somebody in the trees and called 911. I'm sorry, but it is a real author, Howard Bloom, who reported on
Right.
this. So I'm not, even though I'm smiling, it was really reported on.
Yeah, see, the text messages. Yeah, that's a rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
I haven't done enough research to even talk on them, but yeah. Right here, let's hit play, and then I'll go to the older video that I don't mind watching all the way through too, and show you guys a little bit more.
Trafficking. Kaylee had previously reported to the Moscow Police Department when she saw a distressed woman, who had been reported missing, at a local store. Did this incident lead to speculation that Kaylee might have been a confidential informant, also known as a CI, reporting on other issues? In April 2019, Pullman police officer Brock Germer of the Quad Cities Drug Task Force presented to the Pullman Police Advisory Committee about past drug cases and what the task force does. The organization works closely with confidential informants.
Okay, I'm going to stop there. So one of the reasons why this particular theory has taken some ground is because it kind of is something that, regardless if you are, we have nicknames like a guilter or someone who's pro Berger, pro Bryan Kohberger, regardless of where you stand on this case, this could be some sort of unifying thing. This could explain the connection possibly to the house. If there was some sort of deconnection, I mean, I think that's why people are exploring this, is we don't know how BK was connected to the house, if he's the person who committed this crime. And could this lead us to understand more? I'm going to play this and pull up the other. Did you have a thought? I'm sorry, Nina. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, that's fine. Could that have anything to do with the statement that Steve made about him connecting to the Wi-Fi? Him being generic, whatever, I'm not going to accuse anybody. I'm just, just a statement that he made that he was close enough to connect to the Wi-Fi.
I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it was a mysterious statement. We all had questions after that. We're like, do you mean that his phone like knew the password and just logged on? Do you mean that it was going by and it touched it? Like, what do you mean by that? But this is.
But would the Stingrays cause that to mess up? And I mean, does it affect everything or just like emergency calls?
I think that it affects everything, but it particularly affects emergency calls. Here, I'm going to fast forward to the part where he talks about that, because he actually gives he gives a warning first, kids. So take the warning he gives.
Look at me set that segment up. I knew what I was doing.
Good job. What the heck? Hold on.
Comes up with something odd, like some sort of a 4-digit combination of numbers, but not your actual phone number.
Decided to camouflage 3 tree areas surrounding the 1122
Tells us
King
how to
Road
do
house.
it. I think it's back here.
This decision came
911 service, a genuine emergency. But if you try to dial 911 and you do not have 911 service, again, don't do this. But that's a dead giveaway that your device is connected.
All right, I'm going to pause there. And like I said, I don't want to show all of his new video. The whole thing is so good. So please follow the link below or in the chat and go check out Michael Eldirio photography. But I'm going to play one of his older videos that's really good. Just because, like I said, I don't want to play the new stuff. That we'll play all the way through so you can get a better idea of what he's talking about. If that's good for you, Nina. Nina, I was listening to your live stream last night. It was so interesting.
Oh
Just
my
need to
God!
chat one.
Look, that one went down, but then I did a 2-hour one.
You did a 2-hour live. You were up. Have you gotten any sleep yet?
I think that's the reason I was sort of kind of late.
Good. At least you got some sleep. That's a good answer. Okay, let me bring this up.
But yeah, my first live was 2 hours.
I'm glad you went live. It was nice hearing to what you had to say. And in fact, I almost wanted to talk a little bit about what you were saying today, but I don't know if we'll get to it. All right, let me pull up this one. We're going to watch this one all the way through. This is a 4-minute video. You guys, I've showed this on my channel before, and I'm telling you, like, the live audience just was so intrigued by this video. So I hope you enjoyed again too. And I hope you think it's interesting too, Nina. These videos, if you go to his channel, all of them are called Blow Up Moscow. sorry to keep pausing and interrupting. I know you guys probably want to listen all the way through, but Nina, this is what brought this all up, is these concepts. I mean, it wasn't just him. Drip Drop has been bringing this up for damn near a year about these blanked out trees on Google Maps. And it's really interesting because when you take all these trees out in an aerial map, they are not unnatural anomalies in Google Maps. They make exact straight geometrical lines. Like these things are lined up. And I'm again, not trying to ruin the video, but we're going to go back a second and just look at this picture. It pans up to what could potentially be a stingray. I mean, that's not the way they normally look on telephone poles, but I'm not an expert. Perfect lines in nature. You know, I don't know. I mean, I know it's Google and not nature, but also Google is chaos. Coding is chaos without a human intelligence, without intelligence behind it. Chaos will never create chaos, and randomness will never create a symphony. So chaos also doesn't create straight lines like this. This is.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm having to write that down. That was pretty profound.
Thank you. I don't know. I just think this aerial map makes me pause even more than the photos of blanked out trees. Thank you for posting the link too. Oh, hi, Joe. Joey says he's from Massachusetts. He must have heard me talking about the dolphins last night. Thank you for being here. I wonder if you're watching the Karen Reed trial.
Oh, I put the dolphins on my community page.
You did, Nina? Thank you so much. Oh, I appreciate it. They've saved a lot of them. They're trying to keep some of them alive right now. It's hard to even watch the updates. It's just
the article that I put. I think it said they'd saved close to 100.
That's amazing. The people that work on this, they are, they're just the salt of the earth. The people, I mean, it's not just the people. It's like the whole community comes together and they use what resources they have. You know, people think of Cape Cod or any vacation place. They go, oh, if you live there, you must, you know, have some money or something. But they don't understand. It's just like any island. When the tourists go, you're just left there with nothing. Like, you know, so they're using their own resources. It's not tourist money. It's not it's their own local money to, like, you know, create the dolphin emergency room. They converted like a used car lot into it and stuff like that. These are all volunteers. It's just amazing. So,
well, it got me when you talked about the dolphin emergency room.
Why do we need a dolphin emergency room? But can you imagine the dolphins? They know, like they come there for help. Like it just, the more and more we see the intelligence of animals and even, you know, non-domesticated animals, it's like, how can you do that? You know, yeah, it's powerful.
Sorry, I got off topic there, but that to me just it really, I put it on there and I was like, I put PSA, please share for awareness.
Thank you. And I'm just also want to say the goal, if we're going to talk about a goal, the goal is to raise up your voice and ask for a moratorium on this offshore blasting. It's been banned in Europe after they killed over 1,000 whales.
Right.
So they blast the ground where they're putting these big windmills, carpet bomb them. So it's not just the dolphins. It's just dolphins are smart enough to show us there's a problem. And it's not just whales. It's the sharks. It's the shellfish. It's everything. They're just pulverizing the East Coast. They stopped doing it in Japan. They had 150 beached whales in Japan when they were doing it. People are like, okay, so we've been trying to save the whales for centuries, trying to get the right whale populations up, trying to protect them from Chinese whale boats out, but we're just going to blast them. You know, Put a moratorium on this blasting, guys. It's not working out. Stop telling us that it's not doing anything. We just had 150 dolphins wash up on Wellfleet. You know, wake up. You know, just because somebody puts the word green in front of something doesn't mean it's green. There's a ton of evil people out there who will use the word green to get what they want. So you have to really listen with your listening ears when you're, you know, these are worse than big oil. This is way worse than big oil ever was. They're carpet bombing the migratory patterns of the right whales. It's sick. They had 60 beached whales in New Jersey last year, but they don't do it in the summertime because who wants to go take a selfie next to a dead whale? So they start the purge as soon as the summer season's over and start carpet bombing our oceans when the people aren't at the beaches. It's just sad and sick, and we need a moratorium on this offshore blasting. Ask the fishermen, the people who actually can take the temperature of the ocean and what's going on. Ask them what they think, and that will break your heart even more. It's just, you know, we totally got off subject here. But it's worth it because it's a good cause, and you're right. It's like a PSA, Nina. And we have no idea where that 8-hour time delay came in. But what's interesting is, you know, could it have something to do with them not being able to make a 911 call? I don't know. But it's something to take into account since we don't know anything. So.
Right. I don't know if you saw in the comments, somebody asked if this channel was Kohberger or Gilter. And just from my point of view, I think that we are just, we just try to put things together and let it fall the way it goes, because I don't consider any of us like on either side, you know.
Yeah, and I strive my best to try and create language that's neutral, and if I can't say a statement that's neutral, I at least try to say the counter argument, because I'm trying to approach this from sort of an independent journalist standpoint, which means at all times a real journalist tries to be objective, and we can't erase our biases completely, but we can do our best if we do express bias to give the other side of the story. I do have my opinions, but I try really hard not to share my exact feelings. I just try to share the concept, a data that made me get to that conclusion. So I definitely hope that I don't ever appear to be one or the other, and I'm just looking at the evidence. And so I like the way you.
Well, the thing about it is, you know, with the group here is everybody's opinion is accepted no matter which way you go. You know, like there's some channels that if you go in and say no, then they like throw you out. You know, I mean, if you go against them, and that's what I like about here is no matter what your opinion is, it's accepted.
I totally agree, and that is reflected. What Nina said is hitting the nail right on the head. The reason we also don't want to form opinions is we want to know your thoughts in the chat, because that's what makes things really interesting. And if we give an opinion, people might not feel freely or openly to tell us what they think in the comments, because that's the best thing is if you're thinking it, someone else is likely thinking it too. Just remember that there's no stupid questions. So that's another reason why we try to be open, is we want our audience to be open too, so they ask all the right questions, which you guys usually do. We have so many good comments. So, okay, this one right here. Can you still text, though, if the calls are blocked? Nikki, I don't know. That's the long and the short answer is I don't know. But I do know that they were saying that the 911 call and a cell phone call were both dropped. And those are two different types of calls. And I'm just basing that off my own experience. I had to call 911 like about a month ago. An incident was happening on the side of the road I drove by. And your phone like goes into like this set, like it's this like, I don't know if anyone else knows what I'm talking about. Your whole phone shuts down. It's like only you and 911 with this. It's like a satellite connection or something, but it blocks out everything else. It's a different type of call. What I'm getting at is these seem like they're two different type of calls. And if they both get blocked, I would think a text could too, but I don't know.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense, maybe. All right, let's finish this video. And then I'm going to bring you all the YSL Rico trial updates because they're insane, you guys. Ugh, that case is really fascinating. Knocking our heaven's door. There's a God, knocking our heaven's door. I'm going to stop here because this is a good point, kind of like why a Stingray might not have affected it. So it says because BF and DM were texting was my thought. So it's a good point. And also Xana was using her apps. She used TikTok and she used her DoorDash app. So those signals weren't blocked. And then the other question I would have on top of this question would be if they block things like consistently, or if it's like every 1 out of 5 calls gets dropped, or occasionally they get dropped, or does it always drop calls? It's just it's just something for us to take into consideration, I guess. It depends on the phones they have too. Thanks, Twizzle. That's interesting. I hadn't heard that before. Might show Michael Alderio a little bit of respect and love and go, please give him a like or a comment if you have a moment. And I just think that's fascinating. Twizzle said this. I want to read out loud to the audience, just a little more information for us. And Twizzle, this is kind of his wheelhouse of expertise in the true crime community. And please go visit Twizzle's channel as well. He has been attending a lot of the hearings. So you're getting some really good, like, firsthand knowledge or witnessing of what's going on. Anyway, iPhones use data to text each other. So if they both have iPhones and connected to Wi-Fi cellular network, it doesn't matter. It's interesting.
Interesting.
Thank you. This is Michael's music, and he picks some. And I would play all of his videos just because the music is so good. But
Yeah, that's that right there. That song. I found myself more getting into the music than watching the video.
I know it's that's such a beautiful version of that song. That girl's voice is so nice. And Christy just put a link to Twizzle's channel down there if you guys want to go visit him. So
I'm gonna go harass Twizzle.
So I have a question for you, Nina. Do you know anything about the YSL Young Thug Rico trial going on now?
Why, heck no.
Let me
I'm
read.
sure I'm gonna get educated though.
Let me read to you from the book of Swamp Rose. So so right now I left off on YSL's lawyer. No, I'm sorry. Young Thug's lawyer was put into custody the other day. And if you guys remember this was outrageous. Well, what I did was we're gonna go to the lawyer, and let me get my timestamps out. I made some sound bites for you guys, and there's 3 sound bites on Lawyer Know's channel. And this is about what happened with the lawyer, because I want you guys to hear his breakdown. It's incredible. And I think his father's with him in this one. We'll watch 2 shorts that lead up to it. And then that was actually ruled on. So since I did my last live stream, the Supreme Court has ruled on what happened. And then this latest thing with Little Woody, oh my God, Little Woody is the most hostile, hilarious witness I have ever heard in my life. And so I have all the highlights to Little Woody's testimony. There's about 4 of them. And
I would be hostile too if I was Little Woody.
I know, who named him that? Like, poor guy. So let's go ahead and start with Peter Trigos. Let's see. And so I actually should say one thing before we say, if you guys don't know what a RICO trial is, this could be a little confusing if you don't know what's going on. So in a RICO trial, it's like organized crime or gang related. So it means that, for example, we all know that former President Trump is being tried. I believe it's like a RICO trial. So there are like 19 or some odd defendants, some large number of defendants. And instead of trying them, you can either try them separately or all together. But regardless, there's like this, you have to try all of them for the whole entire case to get done. Like, it's not based on just one person. The conviction is based on the entire process. And so anyway, it's a little bit different. And you're seeing multiple defendants in the courtroom, and it's wild. There's a lot of attorneys involved. One of the attorneys just got exonerated. I'm going to show you a clip of that as well. So actually, before we get to Lawyer I'm going to show you 3 quick I'm going to show you 3 quick videos just so you get a little taste of what we're looking at here. Pull up my playlist here. This is I'm sure this is gonna cause a lot of conversation with you guys if you have not seen this before, because it just kind of lit up the chat last time we looked at this. Okay. Let me share this screen. This is just wild, you guys.
Prosecutor tell you we were in a room with Mr. Copeland, and he said, why?
Okay.
Why do I have to bring up? You should be bringing up. This is crazy. This is like communist Russia.
The attorney for rapper Young Thug says that prosecutors are intimidating witness Lil Woody Copeland by surrounding him as he travels to and from the courtroom after breaks and accompanying him during breaks. Steele argues that the prosecution's conversations with the witness should be documented and shared with the defense. But instead, the defense is only getting drips of information. Steele says that the situation is creating the worst trial for his client and compares the situation to something that would be seen in a communist country. This latest complaint comes after the judge in the case, Ural Glanville, held attorney Steele in contempt of court and sentenced him to jail time earlier in the week after Steele learned of a secret meeting between the judge, the prosecutor, and YSL Woody. Glanville held attorney Steele in contempt after Steele refused to tell Glanville how he had learned about the meeting.
Young Thug's lawyer has been arrested for contempt in court and is requesting to serve time with his rapper client.
Yeah.
Bryan Steele was defending Young Thug for gang-related charges when he asked about an alleged secret meeting between Judge Ural Glanville, prosecutors, and witnesses. Refusing to disclose how he obtained such information, Judge Glanville arrested Steele for contempt. Steele will serve time for 10 weekends if his appeal is not approved.
To tell me that.
And Judge, so that's what you want, but that does not conflate to a contempt. You're just
I'm going to pause right here. So this is the coolest thing. So this, I didn't know about this before this trial, But when there's an attorney in danger, when somebody is stepping over the lines and the boundaries and an attorney needs help, really legitimately needs help themselves, not their client, but them legally, there is a strike unit of attorneys that you can call in at any time. And in this instance, 25 attorneys agreed that this was out of line, and they got in their cars and they drove down to ATL to defend this guy. And this is one of them, and she kicks ass. I just want to say.
Desire for him to answer your question does not mean that you have the power to hold him in
So
contempt.
you can come into court, Mr. Merchant, and not answer a question of the court and not be held in contempt?
If it's a question that the court is not permitted to ask, yes.
Okay, well, this is a question the court's permitted to ask.
And it's our position, if we had a hearing, we could explain to the court why he is not required. First of all, the court accused him of eavesdropping. That is a crime. He has a Fifth Amendment privilege against answering those questions. Rule 1.6 protects all confidential information that is gained not from your client, but in representation of your client. He has the ability to protect that information. But we don't even need to get there, because he can't be held in contempt, and you can't threaten him with contempt for presenting a motion in good faith.
YSL lawyer Nicole Fegan told a murder suspect to dispose of his phone and is now facing gang charges herself, but not for long. Listen to the judge at the end. She's very popular in the law world.
In the first place, I let my demon in the face, I'm booted up the worst way. She want my same, so she...
I'm sorry, but I think this is so tacky.
Miss Fagan, she is a very, very fine attorney. Seen her work.
164 Echo Hotel.
This is Little Woody. I'll just give you guys a Little Woody teaser, because that's what the finale is. But of course, we're going to one of my favorites, which is this Bruce Rivers, the criminal lawyer. And I probably should take down Michael Alderio's banner while I'm doing this. Poor Michael. Yeah, we're gonna go to Bruce Rivers after this, but I'm gonna give you a little teaser.
Get back. He doesn't like her perfume or her body odor or something. Maybe her breath. I don't know. This guy does not want to be there at all.
Okay. And when you say you're an adult, what number in years are you?
I plead the fifth.
You can't plead the fifth to your age.
My window.
Yes. I don't remember what I done told the police.
Let me ask you this. Are you just saying yes now to speed up your questioning?
Most definitely.
Okay.
Well, is that you? Are you asking Jansen just answer this just so you can speed it up and get the fuck out of here? And it's kind of funny, actually.
All right, so that's a little teaser what's coming up. So we're going to go to Lawyer You Know, and I'm going to bring you guys up to speed, because this was ruled on. The Supreme Court did rule on this, and this only happened in the last 2 weeks, because they were like, after this incident where they took this attorney Steele into custody, they're like, oh no, this trial's getting thrown out, but not so fast, unfortunately for all involved. But this is serious, because here's the thing is this, in this case, young thug is facing 25 years in prison with no chance of parole. You better believe that somebody better not be doing bad things to collect evidence to get somebody I mean, it's just, you better cross all your T's and dot all your I's if you're going to try and throw someone into jail for 25 years without the chance of parole. You know, it's just, that's why this is, to me, it's like, I don't know how to say it. It's as bad as if somebody was facing life in prison, you know. Oh, I don't have it pulled up. All right, here we go.
Live here today. I've got my dad on, and we are going to break down what the heck is going on in the YSL trial.
All right, we're going to bump it up to minute 3 here. And this first clip is just less than 2 minutes long, but these guys really seriously break this down well.
And it has rights, has a right to counsel. So let's take a listen to this to this video and kind of figure out how we got here. Trying to figure out where it is. Here it is. Okay.
Do you want to be here?
Ma'am?
Do you want to be here?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm going to slow it down because this guy's a little hard to understand, and then we'll speed it up when we need to.
You're going to let me ask you some questions.
Okay.
How old are you?
Grown.
Oh, this is
Okay, what is grown?
Grown is what he said to how old are you? So you get the idea of what kind of a witness this guy's going to be.
Oh, wait, hold on. I think I have the wrong video.
I'm an adult.
Okay. And when you said you're an adult, what number and year?
Hold on a second.
Restrictive or least harsh means is what he should have taken first.
Right.
What we're doing. We're starting here.
Sir, I don't have enough information at this point in time to address it. I don't. But there is nothing that was given, said, whatever, this morning that.
If there was any accuracy to some of the information.
But sir, I don't even know. Your co-counsel won't even tell me who said whatever. Okay. And the challenge I'm having in this particular circumstance is that is such a violation of the sacrosanctness of the court's chambers and an ex parte conversation. You're just glossing over that. You're glossing over that in its entirety. No, it's not, sir.
The issue is, though, the more I think about this, it's like, dude, all of that is not his fault. He's been given information that he thinks changes this trial and affects this trial. He thinks it should be a mistrial. He thinks everything is different. He needs to know that information now. And the judge is just like, well, just ignore that. Ignore that for a second. Let's talk about this. It's like, well, I'm not the one who leaked the information. So go after the wrongdoer, not me. I think I have an ethical obligation not to reveal it. This is crazy.
This is crazy.
That's not what happened. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. I'm just telling you, that's not what happened.
Judge, respectfully, we are not obligated to simply accept that there's been no violation. We believe that there has been.
Okay, well then you made no, we're not doing that at this point in time. So you'll have a choice to make. All right, take Mr. Steele into custody, please.
And the memes and clips that have come from this, like if your lawyer don't do this for you, I don't want him. Them like pounding fist and like the gangster music in the background of him taking off his jacket and his tie. It's pretty wild. But I mean, this is so one of my posts on Twitter was this is like the best and the worst of our judicial system here. It's like judges should not act like this, but defense attorneys that are willing to be thrown in jail for their clients and to do what's right. And he's not just doing this for his client. He's doing this for constitutional rights, for criminal defendants across the nation.
Amen.
Because this is how change is made. Bad stuff sometimes has to happen. I can't believe we're 40 minutes into this video already. Hit the like button if you haven't. We still got a lot to get through. But I mean, this is wild, right? Like this is kind of like.
Well, when he takes off his coat and makes the white shirt walk across, I could kiss him. I'm telling you, I don't know Steele, but I love it. I mean, I really do. God bless lawyers like him that have those kind of guts.
I mean, it really is something when he does this, and it's like, wow, like you could just hear the mic drop. And that's why 20 lawyers from the Georgia Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers show up to get his back.
Yeah, the court accordingly went on to confer with counsel regarding the appropriate remedy in this type of.
Okay, all right.
All right. This. I love
Yes, sir. You certainly may.
I love this part.
Mr. Williams is not
On his way out, without his tie, without his jacket, he's still lawyering. He's still protecting the record. I mean, this is pretty awesome. This is like a movie.
Defiant to the end.
Literally.
Yes, sir. You certainly may.
And he still asks. He's still like, can I say one thing, Your Honor? Still respectful. Still, if the judge would have said no, he would have kept walking to the jail. That's professionalism.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Williams does not wish to go forward without me being here. You are removing me against his will, my will. You're taking away his right to counsel. And you're conducting material parts of this trial without me present, and I can't learn about it by watching online. So for that reason, additionally, I asked for mistrial. And I assume you denied, but I'd like you to deny our motions for mistrial. You denied the other people. I denied your motion, but I'll certainly take that under advisement, sir.
I mean, that's the big one. Knight said, how do you get 25 lawyers to agree on anything? It's hard. It's hard. It's unusual.
Okay. So I actually had, now that I've got my correct notes up here, there were 3 clips in this I want to show you. We skipped over one, which was at the 8-minute mark, and it sort of explains how we got to this place. It actually takes a moment to explain to us how we got to this place. So I'm going to go back, and then we'll go to the final part of this, and then we'll go to Bruce Rivers, which is hilarious. Our grand finale, which is Little Woody's testimony. Let me get to this 8-minute mark here. Okay.
Of a jury, that his response was going to be, I'm invoking the Fifth Amendment, then Your Honor, yes, I adopt what you said. That's wrong of a party, and I'm moving for mistrial. Okay.
Okay. Sorry, sir. Thank you. All right. Yes, sir. You would apply to everyone. Yes, Ms. Love.
Your Honor, I'd just like to.
So we're going to listen to a few minutes of her response, but all the defense attorneys basically joined that as well. But let's listen to her response.
Things on the record regarding Mr. Copeland. As we stated earlier, Mr. Copeland has.
Your Honor, I'm just telling the court, I'm not accepting the proffer.
Your Honor, if I may.
Okay, but counsel gets the proffer, Mr. Steele. I can accept that. So could you sit down? Is it time, sir?
Sit down.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, Ms. Love, you can complete your proffer at this point.
Your Honor, yes. Just to relate to the court the observations that members of our office have made throughout the course of this morning and throughout the time that we've been dealing with Mr. Copeland. Our cause for concern is Mr. Copeland's communication that he is going to us, that he is going to speak, that he is going to speak on the stand, that he is going to testify, and watching what happens when Mr. Copeland gets on the stand. Mr. Copeland did not want to have to be taken into custody. The court gave him the opportunity to have present in court with him someone who is supposed to be representing his best interests. What we have seen is communication, both verbal and nonverbal, between Mr. Copeland's supposed counsel and counsel for defendants. And a look as if I tried from Mr. Copeland's supposed counsel in the direction of counsel for the defendants after Mr. Melnick attempted to assert for Mr. Copeland. May I finish?
Let her finish, Mr. Melnick. Please sit down. I'll let you start. Okay.
That guy is the witness's attorney.
Thank you, sir.
While Mr. Copeland is on the stand stating that he wants to testify, that he will testify rather. So we are watching, and Mr. Melnick, I believe it made me captured on film. The court can look at it. Mr. Melnick turns to the direction of counsel for the defendants and motions like, that's it. Then, upon information and belief, as we are standing out waiting for the jury to come in, Mr. Copeland requests to speak with counsel for the state, but Mr. Melnick keeps walking in. Then, as
Does at any point in time tell you I'm not going to testify? I'm invoke the Fifth Amendment.
No, as what happens, as Mr. Copeland requested to speak with the state, Mr. Melnick keeps going in regardless of Mr. Copeland's request to speak with the state. And then we learn that Mr. Melnick tells Mr. Copeland they are going to hammer you. So Ms. Hilton comes back in and asks me,
she's condemning the defense attorney for saying that the prosecutors are going to hammer this guy that's been accused of all these crimes, and I think even been convicted of some crimes. It's like, wow. What a horrible guy. And she says later, she's like, we were fine talking to the witness. It was when his pesky defense attorney kept standing in the way.
And they accused him of being unethical too.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to
spoken with Mr. Melnick. Had I told him that we are going to...
I'm going to step forward just because this is hard to follow, but I'm going to we need to get to Little Woody's testimony. Let's get to probably the most popular part of this video, other than his attorney Steele getting arrested, which is this part right here. And this is like a 2-minute clip.
Anything, because it's discretionary with the appellate court. They can accept it or reject it. So they can try anything.
And that just means you stop the case, you handle the appeal in the middle of the case.
If they accept it.
Right. Nietzsche, does the judge not have superiors to answer to before it reaches the appeal process for abuse of power? He's making the legal system look horrible.
No, judges really don't. Not judges in their own level of judge. That's why it has to go to the appellate court. All judges that are the trial level judges, they're all equal in authority.
And it's interesting because the first motion to recuse or problem with the judge goes to that judge. So it's very interesting how the process is set up. Okay, the next video here I think is him getting sentenced. Yeah. So let's watch that.
All right. Thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Sousa as well. All right, counsel, I've made a clarification to the order of contempt. Mr. Steele, I am going to hold you still hold you in summary criminal contempt pursuant to OCJ 15-1-3, subpart 3, for your failure to comply with my earlier order today. I'm going to order that you be taken into custody, incarcerated in Fulton County Jail for no more than 20 days for this contempt. Those 20 days consisting of every weekend for the next 10 weekends. And you'll be reporting to 901 Wright Street, Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia.
Somebody just tell me in the chat. I've heard Fulton County Prison is one of the most harshest prison environments in the country. Please leave in the chat if you know anything about that. This is what they're sentencing this professional attorney.
30318 at 7 p.m. on Fridays. Will be released on 7 p.m. on Sundays, and it's to commence this Friday, June the 14th at 7 p.m. and not to end until Sunday, August the 18th at 2024, 7 p.m. Subject to further.
Oh, he's a weekend warrior for those 20 days. I see what that is. So that's what we used to, that's what I've heard of.
The order of this court, and that will be entered and e-filed. You may take whatever steps you and your counsel deem appropriate after that. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
20 days, weekends starting Friday night, getting out Sunday morning for 10 weekends. So what does this tell us? Number one, he agrees the defense attorneys were right, and he's got to give him up to 20 days. He can't just hold him until he gives him an answer, because that's civil, number one. Number two, he's also right in that you can't just let me not try this case. So that's why he's doing it on the weekends as opposed to 10 straight days or missing 2 weeks of trial. Anything else from that?
No, not from that.
Okay, we're going to stop there.
Oh,
So that was where we left off. But, you know, when I brought it to you guys, I didn't actually have an actual lawyer break it down for us. And maybe just seeing it your first time. I know when I've seen it, I've always listened to lawyers breaking it down. So I really wanted to bring in somebody with legal expertise so that we could actually know what was going on. So they did rule on this because ultimately, when this lawyer wanted to appeal what was going on, he was trying to get this case thrown out, and it was ruled on. So let me just bring up that article, and I'm just going to read you this briefly, and then we're going to get right into Bruce Rivers, which again is our finale with Little Woody. And before I show you the grand finale with Little Woody, I just want to ask you guys one quick favor. If you could please hit that like button. And I know it's annoying and nobody wants to hear it, but it's really important to us because every time you hit the like button, it puts it in front of somebody else in the algorithm. So that's why people are always saying it in the chat. It really helps me out. And it's kind of like the free way you can help the channel, or if you appreciate our time. I don't make any money off of this channel right now. I'm doing this for free. So that's one way you can help me for free, and I'd really appreciate it. So let's get this article pulled up. All right, and this article is titled YSL Young Thug Trial. Georgia Supreme Court declines emergency motion to recuse judge. And this was released 2 days ago. Atlanta, let me make sure you guys can see that. Okay, Atlanta. The Supreme Court of Georgia has dismissed an emergency motion filed by the defendant YSL in the Rico trial. Kendrick sought to disqualify Fulton County Chief Judge Uriel Glanville from presiding over his case. Kendrick's motion originated from a meeting involving Judge Glanville, assistant district attorneys, and the state's witness and the state witness's attorney. Kendrick's attorney found out about the meeting 2 days later on June 10th. He filed the motion to recuse Judge Glanville, arguing that the judge improperly denied the motion without referring it to another judge. In unusual legal maneuver, Kendrick's attorney bypassed the normal appealing process, claiming that the court would ultimately return to Judge Glanville. The motion was requested and unredacted the motion also requested an unredacted transcript of the meeting in question. The Supreme Court's decision underscored its policy to exercising original jurisdiction only in exceptional circumstances. The court noted that Kendrick had not pursued relief through standard legal procedures, specifically a standalone mandamus petition to the Superior Court. The court emphasized that if such petition were filed, Chief Judge Glanville would be automatically disqualified from presiding over it, and in a matter would be assigned to another judge. As a result, Kendrick's emergency petition for writ of mandamus and stay of proceedings was dismissed. And I think that's interesting because, you know, depending on whatever field you're in, whether you're in law, I guess, or the medical field, or whatever field you're in, whatever you do for work, it's always good to take conservative measures to something before you go for the Hail Mary. And I think that's what if I'm reading this correctly, that's what it sounds like here. They went for the whole 9 yards, and the court's like, well, you know, you didn't even take conservative relief for this problem before you went for the whole, you know, just getting him removed. So that could be, it sounds like that's the entire reason for the denial. I don't know. How are you feeling about this case so far, Nina? Is this resonating with you, or do you think this is just wild and confusing?
Well, I live about 2 hours from there. And so young thug, and it seems like everybody in there are young thugs. But you have to give them mad respect because they're standing up for what they believe in, you know. But then you sit there and you have Little Woody and the judge is Glanville. And I'm like, okay, these are made up names, right? But okay, so we're talking 25 years, right? That he could possibly, is that the maximum or?
They didn't give a range. They said that that's what the sentence for this was. He's facing 25 years without parole. And
Wow.
I do want to say something about the word thug. Thug in general. I know we always think of thug as like some, you know, lug or what. Thug is it means thug stands for truly humbled under God. And
yeah, I mean, most of the time, yeah, like you said, thug is usually, but you know, thug is most definitely, you know, because there's what, Young Thugs and Harmony and stuff like that, you know, and it's mostly standing up and doing what's right.
Yeah. So I love I think they actually, I don't remember if I heard it recently. I don't know if they said it in this trial just because there is such a stigma attached to that word, and you hear, oh, young thug, you're thinking young bully or something, but it's not.
Right.
Somebody who actually is trying to acknowledge God. And I think that since we're on the subject, when we talk about the other thing that I think people don't understand, it's totally off subject, but I didn't realize this until I watched a recent documentary on Netflix called Dance Cult. But crunking, the type of dance called crunk, is actually an expression to the Lord.
Yes.
And it's a Christian dance.
Yes, yes.
I didn't know before. And it just, now when I watch crunking, it seems all the more powerful when I watch it, because you can tell it's not just coming from their heart, it's coming from something holy or sacred.
Oh yeah, because I mean that's their, I guess, testimony. That's their way of testifying.
Yeah, dancing from the heart. It's beautiful. Hold on, let me get this. God. So the next guy I'm going to show you guys, if you don't know who Bruce Rivers is, let me get his correct handle. So I can put, okay, CLR Bruce Rivers. I'm going to make a banner while this is playing. And God, this is let me get my timestamps too, because I don't want to waste you guys' time. We've already seen the introduction. I showed that to you first. Okay. So we're going to start right at the 3-minute mark here. Okay, here we go.
Out of court and keep high-priced lawyers out of your pocket. eforms.com. Okay, so let's just kind of recap a little bit about what's been going on with Lil Woody. Lil Woody is probably the most difficult witness I've ever seen in my life. We're going to show you some clips of him. And when a prosecutor deals with a difficult witness, when you deal with a gang case, you know, generally speaking, you're not supposed to testify if you're a gang member. Why is that? Because you're snitching, right? And if your snitches get stitches and they wind up in ditches, you know, and that's what happens. I mean, it does happen. I've seen it happen. I've seen people get beat up. I've seen people get killed. You know, it's very dangerous to testify as a snitch.
How many bodies have been dropped on that corner? I told you, let me tell you this. You got past me right there posting it. I went over there and I talked to the people who got shot. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I spoke with them. Okay.
Now, he just asked him how many bodies have been dropped in that corner. This does not look like somebody who's a typical cooperator.
I got to speak with them. I seen police right there uncover whatever y'all call. I seen them. I didn't say nothing. I talked with them and I told everybody, I said, hey man, listen, I ain't trying to tell y'all where to do, bro. But y'all just got to start him. Now, if these people have outside in the back, these niggas don't care, they just shoot them. This shit here right there. Y'all niggas arguing about $20. I gave these niggas $20. Yeah. And y'all niggas still come here to do that. They start hanging up there.
It's the same. It's the same game though that you had when you were. And I get it.
Really, but I get caught up because I be trying to play.
You know, I'm not going to suffer through all of Little Woody's testimony here. I'm just not going to. But I will want you to know, look at the tone of how he is there. And now look at the tone when he comes out and all of his prison garbs and he has no protection. You know, we talk about often, like, I've heard people on YouTube, just going back to the Idaho4, saying things about Kara, Xana's mother, that could get her into severe trouble in her incarceration with the people she's staying with. Just speculative theory, nothing they have concrete evidence on. And it brings me back to this. It's like, what do you expect when you throw someone in an environment where they're going to receive cruel and unusual punishment if they look cross-eyed the wrong way? And you're going to bring them onto a stand and ask them to, you know, it's just, you know, what do you expect? So just look at the demeanor of somebody who knows they have to protect themselves. And I think that's what we're looking at with Little Woody.
I am so glad that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Because I am on such a soapbox concerning that right now. And I mean, in my live last night, I literally just like went off on it, you know, because what people don't realize is she is in general population. Everything that's being said about her is putting her life in danger. You know, and the thing about it, and I mean, you know, if you don't have facts to back it up, don't put it out there.
Mm.
You know, so thank you for bringing that up.
I'm glad. And I don't even want to talk about the accusations that have been made about her because they're life-changing accusations to make from someone who's not in prison. But the actual accusations it's breathtaking.
Yes. Being a mother that comes from that kind of lifestyle and losing my son to that lifestyle, what people are trying to put on her to devastate her mentally, emotionally, you know, to sit there and try to make her live with, I caused the death of 4 people due to an action that I'm being accused of doing. And I'll be the first one to say, if she did that action, she got messed over because she's sitting in general population. I mean, that's not a very good deal. I mean,
not only that, but she didn't have a chance. I mean, we've all been kind of sitting there through this phase as she finds out what she's facing, and they weren't going to give her any breaks. It was, yeah, so it didn't look or appear anything like she was involved in what was accused. And again, we're trying just really hard not to repeat what was said about her because we don't want to be part of the problem. But, you know, yeah, it's very obvious she didn't do what she's being accused of, or she wouldn't be sitting in the place she is with this unknown sentencing that's going to be happening. You know?
Yeah, because I mean, the first date that I can even come up with is 2030.
It's about what I heard. It's sooner than, I think there was a 2026 talk, but that was only, well, you know who can give us more intel on that? And we'll come back with a better answer because we haven't had an update in a while, is AR. And I actually haven't asked him directly in a while, but he had the firsthand knowledge of what was going on in her case because Jen has been working closely with Kara. So I don't know if you knew that. I'm sure you did, you know.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, like I said, thank you for bringing that up because, I mean, that's just, I mean, and not even like physically, it's the mental and emotional that people are putting her through.
Yeah. Well, I guess, so if you're hearing this and you want to do something for Kara, you know, other than just keeping her in your prayers, which is the best thing you can do, there are, if you ever reach out to AR, he has instructed people before how they can, if they'd like to write her a letter, they can do so and maybe help her. So yeah, just hit me up with a comment and I'll put you in touch with a way to send Kara a letter or do something to help her if you're hearing this and you want to do something nice for her. Just leave a message.
That's awesome. Because, you know, she's been outcasted through all this.
especially like when she started speaking up, it was a lot of people said, it's really interesting how she gets all these disparaging comments, but then other family members don't get those comments on Facebook. And it was an obvious starch difference. And she spoke up with some questions. She goes, why hasn't anyone said anything?
Right.
I mean, like how controversial is that? You know?
Oh yeah. And I mean, you know, that's the thing about it is Kara, I mean, you know, I do not know her personally or anything like that, but from the research that I've done, you know, she knows she knows the game. You know what I'm saying? So she's not one of those that would, you know, roll over or anything like that because she's lived it. You know, I lived it for 16 years. So I guess that's the reason I'm so passionate about it is because it doesn't happen the way that some of these people are putting it out there.
Nina, I just want to, before we go on, I just want to acknowledge while you're talking, I am extremely sorry for your loss. And I am extremely appreciative that you're turning your pain into purpose and you're spreading that here today on this platform and other platforms. So I don't want to just skirt over just reflecting that from me and the audience. We are sorry for your loss and we appreciate your work. So
thank you. I'm sorry, I get passionate about it sometimes.
You have nothing to be sorry about. That's why people come to the live stream. And it's interesting. We have someone in the live chat, Angria, and she lives in Idaho. And you know, I don't know what county you're in or anything, but it'd be interesting to know if you just, you know, just in your non-expert opinion, do you think a change of venue would mean a change of thoughts, minds, hearts, or opinions in this case? I guess it would be Boise if they moved it from Latah. Be nice to hear from a local what you think. And then we've got this comment from Christy up, which is an interesting angle to when we're talking about Kara. We all know Xana and her mom wasn't close. That should say enough. How would she be the reason this happened and when they didn't even talk much? I mean, just another reason why this story is just, you're fitting a square peg into a round hole, you know, for me, in my opinion.
Well,
maybe
I mean,
perspective of Kara, I don't know, in some way.
I always try to be, you know, 12 gauge says that I should come with a warning label because you never know what's coming out of my mouth. But when I come on your panel, I try to be like, I try to keep my lady card, you know, because, you know, I mean, you're a respectful channel, you know, I don't want to come off as but anyway, the thing about it is my thing is if there's no calling card, there's no retaliation.
Oh, can you elaborate on that? Because I know what you're saying, but maybe someone in the audience doesn't know what you're saying. And I'm getting to Angria's comment in a second, just so you know. But
okay, because everybody, you know, the whole thing is, you know, she took a deal and caused, you know, this to happen. So unless they have something that says, hey, I did this, Kara, because of you and what you did, that would be the calling card. Okay. Then there's no retaliation because if I don't know why you did it, then how am I going to know I'm retaliated against? You see what I'm saying?
Right. It wouldn't
be as far as I know, you know, there's not anything that would even indicate that 4 people lost their lives because Kara snitched. Okay. And I mean, I hate to just put it like that, but the thing about it is there's no way that they would just go in there and do that to 4 people. That it just doesn't happen. I mean, you know, it's not the way it's done. I mean, and for everybody to just be throwing it out there, and you know, the drug angle is an easy way to go with it, you know, and I understand that, but we're talking an off-campus 6-bedroom house with 6 sorority girls in it Nobody in their right mind is going to put enough drugs or enough money in that house that's worth 4 lives. You know, you're not going to trust 6 sorority girls with that kind of merchandise.
I'm gonna take it even a step further on that. I mean, it's not even just the people in the house. Let's just look at this from a pure business standpoint. The allegations weren't just like, some people started out saying 70,000. They said at the end of this, the theory was like $700,000.
Right.
Let me just ask you guys a question. You know, with your mortgages and your car payments, who is going to trust 41-year-olds with a $750,000? Like, who is going to do that? And aside from that, anyone who's ever seen the process of how this game works, there is a drug house, the party house, but then there's a safe house. And these two are never going to intertwine because people who have been able to make that much money aren't that stupid. So if you actually have had the capability of bringing in $750,000 increment by increment, unit by unit, it's very doubtful you're dumb enough to play with that kind of money and put it in such a vulnerable position. Because anyway, I should probably stop talking because you would have a better expertise, Nina, than me. But these are the things you're bringing up in my mind when you're talking.
Well, the thing about it is, it's like you said, you know, I mean, there's a flop house and then there's a party house. There's a big difference, okay? I mean, there's a big difference in having tables and stuff where you're sitting there running the money through money machines and you're running product through Ziploc bags and, I mean, just putting it, you know, that, you know, you're not going to set that up with dang 6 sorority girls, you know, and then think about it this way too. Take Maddie and Xana. Those 2 girls have already broke the generational curse of addiction. They are in college. They are putting their life and putting the steps forward to keep that generational curse broken. They are not going to put themselves in that position after they've worked so hard to overcome following in the parents' footsteps.
Wow, that's powerful when you say it like that, Nina.
I mean, you'll never convince me of it. They would have walked out of that house and never turned back the first time drugs came in because they were raised with it.
They broke the generational curse. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, when you put it like that, it just sounds profound. We've had some really good comments. I haven't even gotten to the bottom. I just want to address these while we're still here. And when we came up, so when we were talking about change of venue a second ago, we do have someone who is from that area, and I asked her opinion, and she said it would be moved to Boise. And yes, she, in her opinion, as you know, someone who lives in the area, she has a change of venue needs to happen. And then,
oh, I totally agree.
At this point, I'm there too. I wouldn't say I'm 100% there. I'm about 80% there. The other 20% is arguments from locals that I've heard that they want this to stay in their county. I don't know if they have that right, but they said this crime happened in Latah. We want it in Latah. So, and then, wow, Chrissy, I didn't know what car she drove. I don't know why. That was the wrong comment. Hold on. Let me go back down. Okay, so then Twizzle said there's a reason why they said the house was targeted. And again, this is when a case is gagged, sealed, and redacted, and you say the house is targeted, what the heck do you think is going to happen? People are going to try and figure out what you meant by the house was targeted. Like, good point, Twizzle. And then down here, CB said after this, fortunately and unfortunately, we are free to say and think whatever we want. And that is 100% true. But in this libertarian free press environment that we live in, you have to remember the libertarian principles. You can swing your, and this is an analogy, go ahead, swing your fist as far as you want. You can go around swinging your fist, blah, blah, blah. But the second you swing your fist and it makes contact with somebody else, that's when your freedoms end. That's when your rights end. When you punch your fist around, you can do it all you want. But the second you make contact with another human, that's where you have a problem. And in this case, this is where they have a problem. And, you know, unfortunately, when you have somebody who probably doesn't even have money for her own legal defense, how is she going to hire an attorney to sue for defamation? I mean, it's just wrong. It's taking advantage of vulnerable people. And so ethically and morally bringing it up. But I do feel that legally, because we just watched Rebecca Schofield win $1 million lawsuit in the Idaho4 case, the first defamation lawsuit for somebody who was continuously espouting lies. So there is a limit to freedom of speech and its liability. And I mean, yes, we can't stop someone from talking, but we certainly do have some ways to stop, I guess I'm just,
No, and I take that a step further. You're absolutely right. I can come on here and I can say anything I want to say, but that does not make it right. And the thing about it is anything we say, we need to say it with integrity and know that we've done the research to put behind it, because we're affecting people's lives. There are people that listen to, they take to heart what people say, and okay, one of the big ones is, the people that it's being said now that did this. You don't think they have girlfriends in general population in that prison?
or allies, just allies.
But that's what I'm saying. You're messing with something that you're not big enough to do. I mean, and that's for anybody putting it out there. And I'm just a little peon, a little guppy in this little pond, in this big pond. But I am telling you, I will stand toe to toe with the biggest creator on here and tell them, if you do not have proof of what you're saying, take your video down.
Or make a redaction.
Yes. Or say, this is only my opinion and I have no facts, nothing to back this up. It's just me running my mouth.
Yeah, you have to say opinion, speculation. This is, and also tell people to do their own research. And I think most importantly, when you do tell people things, tell them where you heard it, tell them where you got it. And if you got it from a source and you got it from someone telling you and you're not going to tell where you got it, tell them that. It's the most important thing is just educating people about the information that you're giving out too. And
I mean, Kiki, you can sit there and verify that anytime I come on your panel, I go ahead and I send you any kind of receipts or anything in case you want to show them.
Yeah.
I am never going to get up on anybody's panel and say anything that I cannot back up. But, that's what I choose to do because, the integrity is what it's all about because, we are messing with an active case, that, I mean, I know I could never have an impact on it, but everybody together could have an impact of the outcome. And if we're not putting out stuff that is factual and true and, no Idaho goblins or, stuff like that, I mean, oh my gosh, I could get on my soapbox so bad. I'm sorry.
But that's what that's what we love to hear too, is because if you're speaking about it passionately, it means you have some knowledge about it. And we want to hear what your insight is. And obviously this is hitting a trigger with people because it's not just triggering just these thoughts about the trap house, the drug house. It's triggering all these other thoughts like Annie Ruler here. They wanted the house torn down and now it is. And it's back to the baffling moment we all went through in late December where they just tore down that house. And whether you were Nancy Grace or, harsh reality, everybody was upset about it. It was everybody from all sides was agreeing that this was crazy. And it was being done essentially by petition from the university. And why? Like, why?
Oh, well, why? It's because they're ready for their, Greek living expansion.
You can say what you want. It doesn't mean you won't have consequences for it. And that's the bottom line.
Exactly. And I may not have the consequences, but somebody else may suffer from my action.
The Twizzle says the attorney Andrew Myers this morning had a great point about why the prosecution would want the house torn down. Well, you'll have to elaborate. We'd love to know Andrew Myers' opinions, and he is also local. I'm sure he's pro dolphin, and he agrees with me. I don't know that for a fact. Allegedly, he might want offshore black carpet blasting in the ocean. I don't know. At this point, I don't know. I guess if you're in Europe, you want it because you get to destroy our oceans and keep yours pristine for your energy. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, you know, and I'll just tell you, Brewster, where this all went down, they needed a new sewer system really bad. So I'm just giving this as an example. So the foreign companies came in, they said, okay, not only will we pay for this new sewer system, we'll give you a kickback as we sell this energy. And of course, the town, I'm just telling you, when the tourists leave, we are just a small town where the average income is less than the nation. And we have to make our cities and municipalities built off that tax base. So when a big company comes in and bribes people with millions of dollars that they don't have to give infrastructure that they truly need, and it's almost like, okay, well, what are we going to do? And they don't know because this is brand new green technology, carpet bombing is. And so then when it starts, the only people who are there to regulate it, because it's so new, are the companies doing it. So nobody's regulating how high they're blasting. And it's so bad. So we're doing autopsies on some of the whales and they've lost their inner ear. So I have shorts on my channel of my husband out fishing, and these whales, these massive creatures, can come up and jump and not even make a ripple in these fishing boats, a whole circle of fishing boats. But yet when they're blasted and they lose their inner ear, they're crashing into fishing boats, they're swimming in circles. They're blind and deafened from this carpet bombing. And it's torturous to watch because we've worked so hard to save the right whale population. And I promise I will stop. But Andrew Myers, if you're watching, I hope you are listening.
Andrew Myers, if you're watching, I expect a PSA.
We all do. Can the police ethics? Let's see. Oh, good. We've got some. Hey, Tina. Let's see. Oh, AR, thanks for showing up. We're just glad you're here. We were actually, I don't know what time you showed up, but we were talking about Kara earlier, and I was just telling the folks to leave me a direct message, and I'd get them in contact with you if they ever wanted to write her a letter. I hope you don't mind me putting you on the spot like that. But I told them to contact me. And AR says, people get taken out for claiming that they are part of a gang, and they aren't. These creators putting out a certain gang did this will get something taken out. And
exactly.
Chills, doesn't it? Oh. I don't know where the brazenness too to talk about these. I don't know where people get the courage to do that too. I don't know. Courage is the right word.
Well, you know, the thing about it too is, you know, the people that the creator I'm talking about is saying is part of it, you know, what's going to happen, you know, when they get wind of it and they're like, hey, wait, dude, we're not a part of this. I mean, you know, that could backfire on him because he's putting it out there that they're part of it. And I wouldn't want to be on that end of it if they're not involved. I mean, they're going to come hunt him down.
You're so right. I mean, we're sitting here talking about the victim of the rumor that he's talking, and we're not going to say his name on here, but we're talking about the victim to his theory. Because it does feel like what he's saying, if put in front of the right person, would put her in absolute mortal danger. But him, he's in danger talking about it too. And that's what I mean about the brazenness. And just want to put this question out there while we have AR on the audience. If you have an update on Pete Alterio from Murder Metal Mayhem, we'd love to know how he's doing. As far as I know, he was still in recovery, but he was doing better. He was moving towards health rather than away from it. So we'd love to know anything more.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. I have my opinion, but I realize that it is not what is being talked about it is in this chat. So I will keep it to myself. Opposite Okay. Well, then again, I don't want anyone to ever feel intimidated that the chat's going to one tone or the other. I think our chat is pretty open to discussion and debating too. And don't ever worry about people coming at you, because anyone who makes an inappropriate comment will be immediately either put into timeout or blocked. So we do protect our chat as well. So you can freely express your opinion without being attacked. So. Oh, and I like this one because I think they use Stingray devices, and that is what they call the informant on paperwork. And I think you're hitting the nail right on the head where Michael Alderio photography was, because he showed us the federal documents where they had to call anything involved with a Stingray or similar. He named all the different technologies. They have to call it a confidential informant, just like the IgG. So when we have all these experts coming on saying, oh, they're talking about the IgG, they're talking about the IgG. Wait a second. Could they be talking about this too? Because that's the way, because that's a federally mandated thing as well.
Well, see, if you'll notice the wording of it, instead of confidential informant, it's confidential source.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, again, could go with IgG or Stingray too.
Right. So that's the reason that I don't think it's a person, is because a person would be informant. Stingray or IgG would be source.
I don't know. Like after I did like several live streams that were related with drunk turkey, this subject came up so frequently. I think I was just convinced at that point that that the informant was the IgG, just because of all the material that had been presented to me. But I keep forgetting that this also has such similar wording, and so easily could have been in this case as well. So.
Well, see, with the IgG, I mean, I've gone as far as like, oh, wait a minute.
What?
I was reading AR's update on Pete.
He gave an update on Pete. Oh, here we go. Well, I also want you to get your thought out. I hope I didn't.
Oh no, I saw AR, and that took precedent over because it's Pete. We all love Pete.
Yeah, we all want to know. So we'll read this out loud. So he is doing well, hoping July 10th is the hospital release date. Oh, power prayer. We talk daily, and he is going to be posting his own community post very soon. That's such a great update. Thank you so much, AR. I appreciate that. All right.
Okay, with the IgG, I guess it's the wiring in my brain, is when I research something. So I went as far as going and getting the DOJ policies for using an IgG in court, and so all through that, it talks about it uses the wording of confidential source, when it's coming to the IgG. And I mean, and I know everybody knows this, but the only way that an informant has to be named is if it has any kind of exculpatory evidence for the defense, well, obviously for the defense, but, and the IgG doesn't, and so I think that's one of the reasons that it's so protected, is because there's not anything about it that could help him out.
I think, yeah, that would make a lot of sense too. Okay. Glad to hear Pete is doing good. Everyone's just really happy. Yeah. I'm not going to put this one up, but they are talking about another officer who is that an officer, David Clayton? I don't want to look that, but if you look at the comment at 1154 from David, where it brings up, is that an officer he's talking about? Is a sex offender and only likes. Oh, okay. Oh no, that's the landlord. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah. Now I recognize the name. It took me a second. I was like, but I did not know that. I did not know that.
Oh yeah.
I'm just going.
Yeah, 1122 definitely has a history.
And I'm just going down to see if there are any more questions. I'm so behind on these, but Patriot Act is written not to catch regular criminals. Yeah, and that actually, this is a good point, William, because the reason why we're allowed to use these Stingrays and different interceptors is because of the Patriots Act that keeps being renewed for more than 20 years now. And it had so much controversy when it was passed. I mean, I'll be honest, I wasn't into the news as much. I didn't really know all the things around it, but one takeaway, no matter what age you were and you were watching the news, you knew that this was, there were hearings after hearings after hearings about whether this is even remotely constitutional. At the end of the day, they said, this is an emergency. Over 2,000 people were killed. We're going to pass this act so this doesn't happen again. We felt like we were in wartime. If you remember the feeling back then, there were both parties, Democrat and Republican, who hated each other as much as they do now. And they were holding hands and singing literally American songs like God Bless America on the
reaching across the aisles.
We've never seen anything like it in this country. It's in my lifetime, at least, with flags up and down the street on every house. It's giving me chills just thinking about it. Nobody even wanted to laugh. Like, the country was so united in being wounded. And I think that it's in those times when there's a great turmoil, it's when you can either get really good things done or really bad people can get really bad things done. So it's hard to know what you're looking at,
Right.
I'm like very chatty today. I think I made the coffee a little too strong. Guys.
I like winging it myself.
What if yes, Cam, we are 100% on the same wavelength as you. We are seeing this too. We see how the confidential informant wording is. And in order for a Stingray to work, the phone has to be in range. And after being routed through a Stingray, it would then connect to the tower. And I think that we've seen pretty clearly that it probably would have been in range.
Right.
The ones that we... Sai says they need a very specific warrants to get a cell site simulator. But did Sai rule it out? I guess Twiz would be my next question.
Okay, I have a question concerning this. So Sai Ray, I know his, background and stuff like that. But his is more along the lines of like the simulators and stuff like that. It's not real time, right?
Wait, so it's not in real time, did you say?
Like, I mean, he's not, I think he made the statement of he's going to take the prosecution's cast and all that, then do what he does with the simulators and stuff that he does, and then do like an overlay to see if they match.
Okay.
And so the way that I'm understanding it is that he's more along the lines of the technical part of it with the simulators and the, stuff like that, where over here on somebody else may be tracking it. And I guess it's not in real time because it's not real time, but you know what I'm saying, of tracking the movement and stuff like that. So you've got the tracking and then you've got the overlay of more of the technical to see if they both line up and match. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I'm putting this little, let me hide this comment real quick. I'm putting this banner up and I want to talk just really quickly about my basic understanding of smartphones and metadata evidence. And
yes.
So I think what you're saying is Sai is going off of the pings for the casting, but what is not included in that report would be like the data that comes from things like the gyroscope or the magnetometers or the different devices within the phone that register the tilt. And the tilt can sometimes be just as telling as to where somebody went, because if you have a starting point and an end point, the tilt can tell you how fast someone was going, where they moved, what they were accelerating at. So if you can tell the acceleration and the distance and the movement, and you have some sort of starting and end points, I mean, through math, I'm assuming you can find a travel route. And that's just some of this internal stuff within the cell phone. That's not even accounting for the GPS that's running in the background of the apps. So that itself has tracking as well. So what I don't know is if does Cy, and I would love to ask him this question, it sounded like he doesn't use any of that other stuff involved in the casting, not anything coming from the background apps, not anything coming from the gyroscope.
That's exactly what I was saying. And
it's not because I don't think it's accurate, it's because I don't understand, because my understanding was you get the cast and then you get the forensic analysis of the phone to make sure that there was no manipulation to the casting, because you can use spoofing apps, rerouting apps, you can use a simple, primitive device like a token signal blocking pouch, a ferrule, those types of pouches, you put something in that blocks the signal. So I always wondered, how do you get an accurate cast without proving the metadata wasn't manipulated? And it's not me knowing something, it's literally tossing it back out into the ether for you guys to answer for me.
See, I guess that's where I was going with it is, he's going to be more on, like you said, the forensic and technical part of it instead of the internal pieces of, whatever's the metadata and stuff like that in the phone.
Yeah. And I think if I heard him in his last testimony, he said he hasn't seen the metadata either.
Right.
So, I mean, the main question, and for those asking, if somebody gets the next person to get an interview with Cy, just say, just is the rest of the forensics of the phone completely irrelevant to your casting? Like never affects it, never needs to be part of it? I get, or are we not understanding how this process works?
Well, see, the way that's what I was understanding was that the part that he's doing, he's going to put together and do like the overlay on top of the part that the other people are doing, which is the phone, the metadata and stuff with GPS and stuff like that. And that's where it would come into, if they don't match, then we have to know, well, what's wrong with them? Is it on this side or is it that side that's not matching?
I totally agree. I want to get an answer to that question. I hope I can. And I've had it for a while too. How come the box is not attached to a car now for tracking? Are they not as good as the other ways?
Oh, the little black box.
Oh, in the car? He
Yeah.
didn't have the infotainment system in his car. He didn't have a connection to the server, the Hyundai server. So he did have a black box in his car. And there's several of them. There's one for the sensors to the airbags, and then there's the black box in the car. I believe as far as when I initially studied the Elantra. So the two, but they don't record everything. There's an incident in the car. And you should all know this too. If you were to crash your car, the black box that belongs to your airbags actually turns on. It's always on, but it records the 30 seconds before and 30 seconds after the crash of impact. And some of them have cameras, and you don't even realize that in your car, you've got a camera and a microphone on you recording you at all times in models as far back as 2015. So it just depends on which car you had. So I don't know if they've actually recorded anything, but I think that when it comes to the vehicle, if the criminal was brazen enough to use their vehicle, they probably would have been confident enough to know the vehicle wasn't going to rat them out afterwards. The cell phone is one thing, because there are different ways to manipulate cell phone, and there are different things you might think how it could help you with your. There's different ways you can manipulate that situation. I don't know, but I don't think there's a way to manipulate it when it comes to the vehicle. You can't block that. You can't spoof that. You can't. So I would think if he knows about it, he would have not used that car. I don't know.
Okay. Now, speaking of him and quotations. Like everybody wants to talk about, like the knowledge and everything. But from the research I did, it was more like psychology and stuff like that. And he was just getting into like the cloud forensics and, stuff like that when he went to WSU. Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cloud forensics manager. When I thought, oh, I'm sorry, Nina. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
What I thought was interesting that I read in Howard Blum's book, and it's not because I'm endorsing it or saying it's fact. I just wonder if this one thing is true, because it sounded like it was coming from first person, or he found this out from a direct source. But he said that Bryan was quoted as saying that he doesn't want to be law enforcement. He wants to be a scientist. I remember now where it came from is Dr. Ramsland had appeared in this new book, and his goal was to be a scientist, not law enforcement. And then that came when we learned that if it's true, Dr. Ramsland actually personally called the Kohbergers the night that he was arrested and offered her assistance, and they actually took her up on that offer. And again, we don't know if this is true because the author won't tell us.
Right. Well, from the research, and I mean, I dove deep into him. And from what I've researched, I think I would agree with that, because he was more on like the forensics and the technical, and if he wanted any kind of law enforcement, the type of mentality that I imagine him having, it would be for the empowerment that law enforcement receives.
Yeah.
Because I hate using narcissistic, because that's such a, that word's just thrown around now like a potato, but his ego, I guess, as strong as his ego was, he comes off to me, in my opinion, as an insecure little boy, that was still trying to find his place and where he belonged, and if he wanted to be in law enforcement, in my opinion, it would be for the respect and the empowerment and putting him, in his opinion, above other people. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not morally and ethically above them, but, just ego-wise above them.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I don't know if I'm necessarily, are there with his personality yet, but what I will say is that I have come more and more to feel that profile definitely fits, a large number of, of people who are interested in people with bad intentions who are interested in getting into the police force. And I think after trial, when we start really studying the profiling, that's something I'll definitely take into consideration. I just wish we could know more, before I definitely, the profiling aspect is so fascinating, but it's like we have so few pieces to put this together too. I don't know. But
well, see, that's what, when I started it, I went and read everything that I could get my hands on, from, anything that he was being accused of, even, inside looking, Papa Rogers, the surgeon. And I don't know if you know about that. I think it's, there's another profile that is said to be him, and it's something surgeon. And, I've got all those and read all those, and they sound just like Inside Looking and Papa Rogers. Now, I've been told that somebody came out and said that Inside Looking was Enon Harsh.
Yeah, you sent me some Inside Looking posts. It's funny you say that. We kind of you took a small like 5-day break from YouTube, and we never did that. But now you're reminding me we were going to do that deep dive into Inside Looking.
Oh yeah, that's 32 pages of Inside Looking.
Yeah, I that is one one post that I really never dived into is the inside looking. I've spent so much time on Papa Rogers. I would really like to make that analysis.
And you know what's funny is DR has a profile that is oh my gosh, is it Poplar or Papa? But anyway, it's Papa something. It's not Papa Roger, but it's Papa something. And I sit there and I thought, oh, see, you need to get rid of that because you're already being accused of enough. You don't need that following you too. Get rid of that Papa there.
Yeah, probably not the greatest choice of names there. Okay, I have a few comments starred. Before I go find more, I'm just going to bring these up because they're only going to let me put so many stars up. So I started here. They do have Stingrays in police cars as well. And that I didn't know. But that would make sense because you always hear police could somehow block a signal or tap into your car. How would they do that? You can't do that with a microphone. Like, it would have to be from intercepting something. Interesting. I like that comment. And then not all cars, just some. I did research, and that's what we're talking about. That black box. We were talking about the black box and the airbags a minute ago. And then again, just to we know that Angria lives in Idaho. She says the local LE has them too. And then Twizzlestick had one after this, said, Psy does radio frequencies. He doesn't grab metadata off of phones. And so I have questions, I've just from such a limited knowledge of this subject, I have so many more questions for Psy. And then Heather says drive time and testing. So those are the two ways that they do it, is they do the initial drive time and then the cast and they compare them, I guess. And then they also use C-130 spy planes with huge Stingrays that fly over and just catch data. You remember the movie, like in E.T.? You remember how how outraged people were? The little van driving around listening to everyone's house.
Yes, yes.
The modern version of that.
Boy, I hope they're not listening to some of my conversations.
Good Lord, me too. He uses the CDR and tower timing data. They didn't have the timing data.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then only useful if he has been in an accident. And again, we're talking about that black box that applies to airbags and in your car. And then this is a really good point too. Even if he did have one of these systems, these black boxes in there, after a 2,600 mile road trip, probably nothing useful. And people were saying the same things about the cell phone metadata because it just keeps writing over itself. So it's hard to say if it would be able to be retrieving accurately everything. Although I think we did come to the conclusion that after 6 weeks, they probably
Ooh, I wonder. That's true because the more miles and the more data. So the trip down south to go instead of going straight across would add more mileage, which would cut. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's no shortage of opinions on this, and it's what makes it great conversation.
I said last night on my live that the thing about this case is you can have one puzzle piece, and that puzzle piece will fit you can take Christchurch and make that puzzle piece fit. You can take the university and that puzzle piece will fit. You can take Kohberger and make it fit. You can take frat guys and make it fit. I mean, any opinion, you can make it work.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, any opinion or theory that anybody has in this case could end up fitting in that puzzle somehow.
Yeah, and especially when you really just don't know what's about to happen in trial. We're just if we were looking at it like a puzzle, we know the very outside frame and like all those hundreds of pieces that go in the middle, we have no clue. We just know there's a frame there, and we have no idea. And we know we don't even know all the pieces.
Sometimes I wake up and my corner pieces are missing.
It's cute. I like the analogy. And Tina, I just want to say I appreciate this comment. I want to tell you guys, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your service. What in the world will we do without you all? Thank you. Thank you so much, Tina. I just really appreciate you acknowledging, because I know Nina works really hard on her stuff, and we really do appreciate that you guys show up too. That's what makes the show. We wouldn't have a show without you guys. And I want to get through all of these before we get to the Little Woody, which is the grand finale. The White Elantra found crashed in Oregon has been crashed and is in China by now.
No, it's getting blown up on the ocean on the East Coast.
Yeah, just bring it off the coast of Cape Cod.
Yeah.
Just a few miles outside the pristine, protected 44,000 acres of national seashore that we only have in one freaking place. Let's just do it a few miles outside of that. How about that? 111.1 a month ago had a post someone commented to me. Oh yeah, there's been some creepy posts on that channel I've heard from.
Oh, that's like that video I found that, it's exactly 1 year prior that I sent to you. I mean, I sit there and I watched it and I was like, man, exactly 1 year. They had no clue.
Oh yeah. And Nina, I really want to present. Nina brought some incredible research she did recently, and we hemmed and hawed over it for the last 24 hours. I didn't want to bring it up here just because Nina actually spoke with the young man in the video. So, I mean, I do feel like you might have some permission, but we know that apparently he has, I think I told you, Nina, I believe his mother is actually on YouTube, and I just don't feel comfortable showing the.
Oh, no.
After I found that out, I'm like, it's just, it's very interesting. And if we can get some more confirmation to him, especially about the locks, because Nina got some, I'll just tell you a tidbit of this video Nina brought to me. It was of the 1122 King Road home, like she said, and a party that was happening there exactly 1 year prior. And just some of it's a creepy video. It's not meant to be creepy. It's meant to be funny, but it's chilling. And in this video, Nina reached out to the young man in the video, and he confirmed that there were, tell me if I'm wrong, Nina, but he confirmed there were all different locks. They're all coded, but each lock had a different code and a different lock because it was meant to be like your own apartment, basically.
Yes, it's meant to be like a motel.
Exactly.
Each room's like your own individual motel room. And, and then, I also confirmed the co-ed of it, at the last part of, because it was transitioning from guys living in it to the girls living in it, And so at one point, it was co-ed for a couple of months.
And I never knew that. I always just thought it was female housing strictly. I don't know if it means anything, or I think the big takeaway, though, is hearing this about the locks. We can just go back, just knowing that fact, that confirmed fact. There's maybe a few things we can discuss regarding the locks. I don't know.
Right.
But we'll keep digging, and hopefully next time Nina comes on, you can watch that. Nina's channel is linked in the live chat, and it is her most recent video, right?
Oh, yeah. I have 3 shorts, because I'm just not, I got on StreamYard last night. I do not have a clue how to do what y'all do, And so any kind of receipts that I have, I put out little short videos that do it's different clips of my receipts, And that way people can see that when I make a video, they can go back and look at the receipts, because I don't know how to go on StreamYard and do what y'all do and say, here's my research,
Oh, well, we'll have to sit down and show you then. If that's your only challenge, we can figure that out.
So if you watch all my little shorts, it'll let you know what my video is coming up.
I just, please go visit Nina's channel while we're on the subject. Before I show you guys our grand finale, I just want to remind you, please visit our guest's channel. Her handle is just like her name right there. So at Nina_Kelly, but it's spelled Kellye for those listening. And Nina is spelled Nena for those listening, not watching. But go visit Nina's channel and please give her some support. And let's get her up to 200 subs. So
Thank you.
hopefully we'll get you a few subs after this live stream. And so we're going to switch gears, you guys, because I want to leave it off. I want to leave it with this, the conclusion to where we're at with the Young Thug trial. And the most interesting thing coming out of the Young Thug trial right now is Little Woody's testimony. It was just funny. And so I've got 3 clips to show you. We just went through the first one. So I have 2 more to show you. And this next clip is 2 minutes long. And again, this is the Rico trial. So they're trying a whole bunch of different defendants, and there's a lot at stake. Young Thug is facing 25 years without parole. So when we talk about the judge having ex parte communications without the defense attorney, that's a huge thing to this client, and he feels that it was a violation of his client's constitutional rights. And so we just got done from Bruce Rivers telling us the reason why Little Woody is acting like this is because he's in jail. I mean, he's obviously in his jailhouse garbs when he's in here. And why would he come out here and prosecute against Young Thug when he's in custody? I mean, again, back to cruel and unusual punishment that they inflict on people. So here we go.
Fucking peacemaker shit.
And Young Thug was at that party, right? And when you saw Young Thug at that party, you saw him with a firearm, correct? And when you saw him with a firearm, you also saw him point the firearm. It's, I mean, that's not part of this case. I'm just using that as an illustrative example. But that's the difference between a direct, non-leading question that calls for an open-ended answer as opposed to a leading question that calls for a yes or no answer. And on direct examination, you're not supposed to be able to do that. However, if they're declared a hostile witness, then you're able to lead the witness.
Shot my window.
Yes.
Yes, you remember telling Detective Gaither that?
I don't remember what I done told the police.
Let me ask you this. Are you just saying yes now to speed up your questioning?
Most definitely.
Melissa, are you asking Jansen just answer this just so you can speed it up and get the fuck out of here? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. He is if you the defense is going to look at this and say, look, you cannot rely on this person's word for anything. And I think they'd be right in saying that. One of the things that, if you don't want to testify, let's say I get to court and I plead the 5th. Then the prosecutor says, grant you immunity. Well, the 5th Amendment only applies if you have criminal liability in front of you. So, like, if they ask you what your age is, and I plead the 5th, there's no criminal liability with my fucking age, right? And so you can't plead the 5th on your age.
How old are you?
Grown.
Okay, what does grown mean?
I'm an adult.
How old are you? Grown. I'm grown. He's just fucking with them at every turn. Doesn't want to answer a single question. And I don't blame him.
Okay. And when you say you're an adult, what number in years are you?
I plead the 5th.
You can't plead the 5th to your fucking age. Telling somebody your age is not going to expose you to criminal liability.
Gentlemen, can I get you to step outside to your headquarters of jury deliberation?
So when you plead the 5th like that, just first of all, you're not, generally speaking,
All right, we got
don't
2 more
do that
clips.
in
I'm
front
going
of
to
the
jump
court
forward.
or in front of the jury. The court doesn't really allow that because it's prejudicial. But if you remember what happened with the lunch
All
break,
right, so this next clip I'm going to show you, this is when Little Woody tells the attorney to back away from her because she smells. It's kind of funny. And so 13.
and not allow the defense to witness what's going on. Were they threatened? And my guess is that he was threatened with criminal prosecution. And you saw him in a jumpsuit earlier. Why was he in a jumpsuit earlier? He was in a jumpsuit earlier because he was taken into custody for contempt of court. You know, that's another thing. If somebody doesn't want to testify, it's not like they can make him testify, but you know what they can do? They can hold him in jail until that case is over or until they testify, one of the two.
Do you see Shannon in the courtroom today?
Well, I got a vision problem.
Okay.
I can't see that far.
All right. So if you want
I got a vision problem. I can't see that far.
to stand up and look around the courtroom and look around the entire courtroom, tell me if you see Shannon in the courtroom today.
This guy does not want to be there at all.
Do you need to sit down?
Nah, I can right here. They ain't had any drink.
So do you want some water?
You gonna give me a drink?
I'll get some. What does he want? Does he want a drink? What kind of drink does he want?
Drink.
I'll get some water.
I don't drink water.
Well, I don't have nothing.
I don't drink water. I've never seen anybody so obstreperous on the witness stand.
Nothing else for you. But I will put some water up there for you.
Who am I looking for?
Shannon.
Okay, now we're gonna skip. That was the next one is when he tells the attorney she smells. It's so I can't handle this.
Who's the other person who looks like Shannon over there?
He's standing behind the bald head dude right there.
He's standing or he's sitting?
Sitting down, I guess.
Okay. What's his hairstyle?
Bald head.
So you're saying Shannon's the one with the bald head, or he's sitting behind him?
Shannon's the one with the bald.
He's sitting behind the dude with the bald head. I think that's him.
Okay.
There's two people with dreads. I can't see. I just see dreads.
Okay. Let me do that.
That's one of the problems when you have a multi-defendant case like this, especially when you get somebody who doesn't want to testify. It's very difficult to pinpoint who he's talking about. And then we have a picture of him here sleeping. And then if you look at some of his pictures, there's one video.
164 Echo Hotel and 164 Echo.
Get back.
Get back. He doesn't like her perfume or her body odor or something. Maybe her breath. I don't know. That's just plain embarrassing.
Okay. All right. Now we've got the last clip, you guys. One more clip to go. So this one, I'm putting this one up. This probably isn't the funniest clip, but I'm going to show you like this following 3-minute clip. And this is what I would, if I'm going to give any other public service announcement today, is please do not eat while you're live streaming. Mukbanging is meant for mukbanging videos. Nobody wants to see you eating your con queso dip on TV like some other true crimers I know. But yeah, let's listen to this one with that said.
All right, well, excuse me.
Sir. I'm sorry, can you take a break?
No, I said, excuse me.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what's going on. As I learned, you said that there'll be a hearing this morning with his lawyer. It's been dark since.
He's had, okay. Mr. Copeland's had the opportunity to speak with his lawyer, Miss Bumpus. And it is my understanding he's going to testify. That's the latest I can give you, okay? So we're going to bring Mr. Copeland out. And we'll see what happens.
So one of the things that has happened here is because of this ex parte hearing that the judge had in chambers with the witness's lawyer and with the prosecution and without the defense, the defense has asked for a mistrial. Let's take a look at the concerns that Bryan Steele had, in 2023. This case has been going on for so long. Jury selection took forever in this case. This judge does not have a command of this trial at all.
Specifically is on the recording, threatening KC that he will get, that she spoke with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and he is facing if he
see dreads.
Okay.
I'm here sleeping.
Hold on. So the last one, mukbanging is this last time.
If you look at some of his pictures, there's threatened with criminal prosecution, or if he's offered anything in exchange for his testimony, that's got to get disclosed to the defense. And apparently the judge has kind of revisited that issue.
I understand that there is zero privilege. So I don't understand
I'm not
how.
gonna, Mr. Steele, I can't argue with you about anything such as, I've made my ruling, okay? If you have some other basis to ask for
So gross.
the recordings or anything like that, you're gonna have to put those in some other pleading. But at this point, Ms. Weaver is gonna prepare the record. She does that. And like I said earlier, the record should be ready soon. And you all, as a
Edie on the bench and that's just such bad form.
The defense group will have the opportunity to take a look at that particular ex parte transcript that was done in chambers. Less anything that is totally that the court considers to be privileged. And I'm going to let you do that before you examine Mr. Copeland. So you'll have everything that.
Well, he changed his mind on that a little bit because I think earlier on said he never made a commitment to give that over to the defense.
And for an assertion to be made that I or Mr. Copeland are somehow being influenced by somebody over here is absolutely ridiculous. I take great offense to it, and I can tell Ms. Love that I am going to the state bar to report her for contacting a witness that she knows to be represented by counsel. She and I have had conversations about Kenneth Copeland.
All right, that is interesting. So what he's saying there is, if you have a witness that's represented, it's unethical for a lawyer to contact that witness. You need to go through the lawyers. But I mean, how do they know she didn't go through the lawyer? Essentially, what has to happen here is, you file an affidavit and a motion. It's got to be timely, and then the judge has to go through and make sure that number one, it's timely. Number two, make sure the affidavit is sufficient. If that's the case, then he's got to assign this to another judge to hear the recusal motion. Judge didn't do that. He's not going to do that. He just dismisses their motion out of hand. So there's just there's a lot here that the judge is doing that is mucking up this case. All he had to do was invite the defense in when they had this ex parte communication with the witness, who was sworn and already on the stand. But he didn't do that. And it's given the defense, and then he puts the judge or the lawyer in jail, or tries to put the lawyer in jail for not revealing who told him about this ex parte communication. So it's just a shit show. And the judge is not in control of this case at all. But there's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot there for an appellate court. But here's the thing. So you got multiple lawyers asking for a mistrial. You got all kinds of allegations of recusal, of inappropriate, intimidating a witness. And he says, well, you can take it up with the Court of Appeals. But he won't give them a certificate to do it now because he doesn't want to stop the trial, because that will stop the trial for the short term. And so he won't allow them to appeal it. It's really just, so what we have here is a situation where, the judge is really acting out of character in cases that I've seen anyway. And there's a lot there for the defense to argue that he should get a new trial. Should Young Thug get convicted? So this is
okay. I'm going to pause there. And I think that this is, and then they say, so in jail for a non-jailable defense makes sense. And it's even worse than that from what I understand. It's contempt of court. So no, actually you're right. He was a sentence, but at first it was contempt of court. He was being held there until he sings. And that's when he said in that first short that I showed, which some of you who are watching right now, I don't have Nina here. I'm just going to play that one short one more time for you guys, because it kind of explains exactly where we're at with this. Hold on. Oh.
That prosecutors are intimidating witness Lil Woody Copeland by surrounding him as he travels to and from the courtroom after breaks and accompanying him during breaks. Steele argues that the prosecution's conversations with the witness should be documented and shared with the defense, but instead the defense is only getting drips of information, Steele says that the situation is creating the worst trial for his client and compares the situation to something that would be seen in a communist country. This latest complaint comes after the judge in the case, Ural Glanville, held attorney Steele in contempt of court and sentenced him to jail time earlier in the week after Steele learned of a secret meeting between the judge, the prosecutor, and YSL Woody. Glanville held attorney Steele in contempt after Steele refused to tell Glanville how he had learned about the meeting.
Young Thug's lawyer has been arrested for contempt in court and is requesting to serve time with his rapper client. Bryan Steele was defending Young Thug for gang-related charges when he asked about an alleged secret meeting between Judge Ural Glanville, prosecutors, and witnesses. Refusing to disclose how he obtained such information, Judge Glanville arrested Steele for contempt. Steele will serve time for 10 weekends if his appeal is not approved.
To tell me that.
And Judge, so that's what you want, but that does not conflate to a contempt. Your desire for him to answer your question does not mean that you have the power to hold him in
So
contempt.
you can come into court, Mr. Merton, and not answer a question of the court and not be held in contempt?
If it's a question that the court is not permitted to ask, yes.
Okay, well, this is a question the court's permitted to ask.
And it's our position, if we had a hearing, we could explain to the court why he is not required. First of all, the court accused him of eavesdropping. That is a crime. He has a Fifth Amendment privilege against answering those questions. Rule 1.6 protects all confidential information that is gained not from your client, but in representation of your client. He has the ability to protect that information. But we don't even need to get there because he can't be held in contempt, and you can't threaten him with contempt for presenting a motion in good faith.
YSL lawyer Nicole Fegan told a murder suspect.
We aren't going to listen to Nicole Fegan right now. But anyway, that was my show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you are interested. It seems like you all are interested in the Young Thug YSL Rico trial because it just keeps bringing me like interesting stuff. And now that I've been following it, every single time I go back on trying to find updates, I'm finding really fascinating updates I think you guys would be interested in too. And if anything else, it's an amazing to see how the system works, particularly on this higher level. It probably just helps our general understanding even for the trial that we're covering now. So with that said, thank you so much for everyone being here today, everyone watching silently, but also specifically for the people in the chat. Thank you for all your energy today. Really good questions and comments that just kept the commentary going because we've been on here now for almost 3 hours. And I think we probably only had an hour of content to begin with. So we couldn't do it without you. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And I'm gonna play you out with an outro. And I'm just gonna show some photographs from our show today. So with that said, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And just to remind you, everything that we're doing now is just in the spirit of justice for the Idaho4.